How is we going, retro people? My name is Brad, this is Retro Style Spotlight, and this is your news, notes, history, and retro games to play for the week of May 16th, 2017. In ROM hacking and translation news, I have two games to share with everyone today, a ROM hack and a translation. The ROM hack on offer is a simple graphical swap for the original Castlevania and its 30th birthday. The graphics are mostly transferred from the game's mobile phone version. The missing tiles are taken from Vampire Killer, Castlevania Bloodlines, or touched up manually. Nothing else has changed, and the gameplay is left intact. The English patch is for a PC 98 title called Rusty. Rusty is an action platformer game released for the NEC PC 9800 series of computers. It is a Castlevania clone, except instead of starring a Belmont, it stars the titular heroine known as Rusty, who is on a quest for vengeance to find the man who killed her parents. All text and all of the image text have been translated. Song titles already in English have been left alone. Normally, you use a generalized patcher utility, like for the previous Castlevania graphical enhancement, but this time around, there is a custom patcher for this title. The patcher should patch any version or variation of the game that you have, so you should be covered no matter what version of the game you have downloaded. As far as emulators go, some of the builds of Neko Project 2 apparently have garbled text with this game's title screen. If this happens to you, then the author suggests switching over to the np21.exe to fix this issue. Otherwise, the translation should otherwise work fine on your emulator of choice. If that sounded like gibberish to you, I did a tutorial on the PC 98 before I stopped doing the tutorials. I went over several of the variants and linked to the emulator package that those authors are referring to. So if you're curious, check out the graphical enhancement and the English patch and the tutorial in the links below. Time for some spectacular emulation news. And this week I would like to spotlight the Xenia team that is working on Xenia, an Xbox 360 emulator. It's crazy to think that a 360 emulator is happening faster than an original Xbox emulator. Either way, what got me interested in this is seeing a video of Asterix at the Olympic Games running fairly well considering. There were some graphical and audio issues that are telltale signs of emulation that I am able to pick up on after doing this for quite a while now. I was afraid that this was a fake at first, but John God Games released the video that you're watching, and it all seems legit to me. It's actually a bit shocking. Emulators like RPSC3, Citra, Cemu, and now Xenia are defying the logic behind emulation. Given how difficult it's been for other emulation projects, these three are progressing at a really stark pace. I don't know if it's because they have a lot of raw power being thrown at them or what, but these are shaping up very well. If you're curious about the emulator, check out the full video in the links below, as well as the Xenia project website, and tell the developers that they're doing a good job. Not much to say about this, but this Nintendo Switch Super Famicom skin looks really magnificent. It covers everything on the Switch, including the dock, the buttons, the Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Con grip. I just wanted to quickly show it off as it looks awesome. In a bit of extremely random news, apparently China is getting a live-action Contra movie. I wish I was making this up, to be honest. The script, by Beijing Starlit Movie and TV Culture, gained approval from China's Film Bureau last month, and there is speculation that 28-year-old Jing Tian will be cast in the movie, and I am so sorry if I mispronounced your name. The official synopsis reads, quote, in 1988, a huge meteorite lands on an uninhabited island in the South China Sea. Chen and Li, I'm not going to pronounce your last names, I apologize, I would completely butcher them, investigate but come up empty-handed. 29 years later, Chen sends commandos Bill and Lance into a combat mission there to neutralize the villainous Red Falcon organization, but end up facing a different enemy altogether. So it's no secret that China is one of the largest movie markets nowadays, but now they're getting exclusive video game movies? I doubt this will make it over to the States or worldwide, but I would be interested to see this in a morbid kind of way. So all of you might be familiar with the RetroN 5, an emulation-based home console that accepts your real cartridges and copies the ROM to play off of. Ignoring the licensing issues they found themselves in, Hyperkin is now releasing the RetroN HD. This machine's only function is to look and act like an NES, where the RetroN 5 emulated several other machines. It will launch on May 25th, 2017 for $40 USD, outputs at 720p, and is compatible with most NTSC and PAL region games. Note, I said most and not all, however. The cables that are included are also much longer than the NES classics, no doubt a bullet point for them. So I don't have any issue with this in theory. A $40 replacement NES console that outputs at 720p? That's pretty damn cool. But I have a few questions that are going unanswered. Is this still using the same level of emulation from the RetroN 5? If so, I hope they got the licenses cleared up. But at the same time, I hope they are using a new emulator, one that's not going to give them any license issues, and one that's going to increase the level of compatibility from the RetroN 5 to the RetroN HD. The RetroN 5 could play most games, but most is not every, and if you're buying this as a replacement to needing to mod your NES or buy a FrameMeister, then that's not really good enough, now is it? For an average consumer that wants to get the extra step away from the NES Classic and actually put cartridges in though, this is a fairly good value, and they might find a foothold in the market for that. It does come with Hyperkin made NES controllers, but the ports are the same as a real NES, so you can use a real or third-party NES controller if you'd like. So while cheaper than the Analog NT or the AVS solutions that have perfect compatibility, output a better image, but also cost a lot more, this machine is in the impulse purchase territory and can be just as good with the more major titles on the NES. Not to mention, it is cheaper than the RetroN 5, so even if it is the same level of emulation that you would be comfortable with, assuming that all you wanted to emulate or put cartridges in is for the NES, then the RetroN HD is a good replacement for needing to spend much more money. Let me know in the comments below if you're curious about the RetroN HD. Personally, I'm leaning more towards wanting to get a FrameMeister than a RetroN 5 or a RetroN HD, but I'm curious about what you guys think in the comments below. I've talked about the Satellaview for the SNES in the past in various different ways, but this one is new, even for me. Japanese company Columbus Circle is printing a Satellaview game called Kaizu Chojin Shububinman Zero. Oh god, I totally mispronounced that. Shubibinman? Kaizu Chojin Shubibinman Zero. I've totally mispronounced that. Either way, I would say reprints, except that this game never made it to any sort of market. It was only ever released on the Satellaview service, and more or less locked to that storage of anyone who might have grabbed it in that week, and never wrote over the old game as a new game came out. I would be very curious as to how many Satellaview games never got dumped, simply because the range of people who took part of this service was not high enough to begin with in a single country, and the games changed week to week, day by day, and sometimes hour by hour. Some games did get rebroadcast, but you can start to see why it's a shocker we have any games from this service at all. The game is part of the wider Shububinman series, and I'm still mispronouncing that, I swear, which has seen only one Western release, Shockman on the TurboGrafx 16. This Super Famicom title is set to be released on June 30th, 2017, so if you're wanting to import this game, check it out in the links below. If you are a patron that pledged to be a part of our Patreon campaign and are watching this early, then thank you very much. For those of you who pledged at the producer level role, your names are now on screen. If you are interested in seeing your name as a part of RetroStyle Spotlight, the tutorials, and have it be inside of the Launchbox app, then head on over to our Patreon link in the description below. At just $2 a month, you can see content like RSS early, and at the higher tiers, you start to unlock things like exclusive Discord server access, producer credits, and a personal hangout with the Launchbox team. Any dollar amount anyone pledges to our campaign is helping us create a better product, and we cannot thank you enough. So that was RetroStyle Spotlight for the week of May 16th, 2017. All of the relevant links to everything you heard in this edition of RSS will be in the description below. Remember, you can sign up for a Launchbox forum account to interact with the community, moderators, and the Launchbox staff if you have any questions or would like to contribute to the project. If Launchbox has given you a beautiful library of games, then why not purchase a premium license of Launchbox for $20, which will get you big box and tons of premium-only features. If you enjoyed this episode of RSS, then give it a thumbs up and subscribe to get notified of new videos that we make. Let us know what you think of RSS and any feedback you may have on it in the comments below. My name is Brad, the link to my channel is also below where I do lots of gaming content, and remember freaks and geeks to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day!